Have you ever started a project, got excited for a few days, and then suddenly felt like quitting? Maybe you've tried learning guitar, coding, painting, or even writing a blog, but no matter how motivated you feel at first, the spark fades and you're left wondering why you can't stick to anything. Most people look at this and see laziness or lack of discipline. But that's only part of the story. What if I told you there's a reason hidden deeper than procrastination or willpower? A reason rooted in how your mind is wired, in the very way you process ideas, skills, and curiosity. Some people call it a weakness. Others call it a problem that needs fixing. But in reality, it's often a superpower disguised as a problem. You see, polymaths, people with wide-ranging interests and the ability to excel across multiple disciplines, experience this same struggle. They jump from one project to the next, rarely sticking long enough to feel accomplished by traditional standards. Outsiders often judge this behavior as scattered or inconsistent, but the truth is far more interesting. It's a sign of a mind wired for connection, exploration, and innovation. Here's the psychological insight: your brain is not designed to focus on just one thing if it's naturally curious. It craves novelty and patterns. When you attempt to stick rigidly to a single path, part of your mind rebels, not out of laziness, but because it's seeking the stimulation and learning it craves elsewhere. Each unfinished project, each abandoned goal, is a clue to how your brain processes knowledge and meaning. And the ironic twist is this: while society prizes focus and consistency, the polymath brain thrives in exploration. Every new interest, even if short-lived, builds a network of knowledge connecting ideas across domains. It's not that you fail to stick to anything, it's that your mind is operating on a level that standard productivity metrics fail to measure. So if you've ever felt frustrated with your own scattered attention, know this: your mind isn't broken. You're simply seeing the world differently. And that difference comes with both challenges and hidden advantages. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your inability to stick to one thing is actually a reflection of a unique cognitive wiring, and how embracing it can turn what feels like chaos into one of your greatest strengths. When you look closer at your habits, a pattern emerges. You start a new skill, dive deep for a week or two, then suddenly feel restless. Maybe you find yourself browsing a completely unrelated topic, opening a new project, or even abandoning the old one entirely. You tell yourself it's procrastination, lack of focus, or maybe fear of failure, but there's more beneath the surface. Behaviorally, this pattern is tied to curiosity and dopamine. Your brain releases small bursts of reward when exploring new information or learning a skill. But once the novelty fades, the dopamine reward diminishes. For polymathic brains, which are tuned to detect patterns and connections across domains, the initial stage is thrilling, but sustaining attention on one repetitive task feels like a constraint. The mind seeks stimulation elsewhere. Psychologically, this isn't about laziness. It's a survival mechanism of the modern polymath mind. Your attention naturally shifts to what promises intellectual growth, problem solving, or insight. The challenge is not focus. It's balancing stimulation with follow-through. If you push too hard to stick to one thing, you trigger tension between your need for variety and society's expectation of consistency. This explains why polymaths often appear scattered. But here's the hidden reason: your mind is constantly building a web of connections. Each project, each idea, even if unfinished, becomes part of a mental network. Your brain is wiring itself to see relationships that others miss, spotting opportunities, patterns, and creative solutions. What feels like distraction is actually the mind's method of synthesizing knowledge across multiple domains. There's also an emotional layer. Polymathic minds often experience impatience with incremental progress. You can see the bigger picture and crave immediate insight or mastery, but conventional learning takes time. This tension creates the feeling of restlessness and never finishing anything. Yet, this impatience itself is an indicator of a higher-order integrative thinking, a mind wired to cross boundaries and connect seemingly unrelated ideas. So the next time you notice yourself abandoning a project, observe your mind. The pattern isn't random. Each shift, each new curiosity, reflects a cognitive design built for exploration and creative synthesis. Now that you understand the behavioral pattern, let's explore what it says about your identity. People who can't stick to anything often carry a polymathic wiring, an identity rooted in curiosity, exploration, and mental agility. This wiring isn't a flaw, it's a signature of how you think, learn, and connect ideas. Psychologically, the polymath brain thrives on breadth rather than linear depth. When society measures success through consistency or the completion of a single path, polymaths often feel misaligned. You may have felt judged for starting too many things, not finishing projects, or being inconsistent. But this judgment misses the underlying truth: your mind isn't disorganized, it's integrative. You're creating connections, spotting patterns, and mentally cross-pollinating knowledge across fields. Each abandoned project or sudden shift in focus is part of a cognitive tapestry. Your mind is laying the groundwork for future insights, often unconsciously. This explains why polymaths frequently experience bursts of creativity. They draw upon diverse mental inputs rather than a single narrow focus. Emotionally, this pattern can feel frustrating. You may feel restless, dissatisfied, or self-critical for not following through. You might compare yourself to peers who seem disciplined or anchored in one career path. But the discomfort is part of a larger truth. Your restlessness is a sign that you're designed for exploration and adaptability, not repetitive routines. Here's where identity comes into play. Your inability to stick to one thing signals a brain that values learning, connection, and innovation. Recognizing this pattern shifts the emotional tone. It's not failure. It's a reflection of your intrinsic wiring. Understanding that your polymathic tendencies are a strength allows you to reinterpret past failures as evidence of a broader cognitive skill set. By reframing these patterns, you start to see that your mind operates on a different metric than conventional measures of focus. Each new interest, skill, or side project is a building block in a larger network of intelligence. The key isn't suppression or forcing yourself into rigid structures. It's awareness and strategic application of your polymathic nature. Here's the exciting part. What feels like a disadvantage, never sticking to one thing, is actually your superpower. Polymaths possess a unique advantage that traditional single-path thinkers rarely access. By moving across disciplines, exploring varied interests, and connecting unrelated ideas, your brain builds a high-dimensional cognitive map. This map allows you to innovate in ways that others cannot. When faced with a problem, you can draw upon a diverse mental library to generate solutions that are unexpected and creative. The ability to see patterns where others see chaos is a hallmark of polymathic thinking. Emotionally, this comes with freedom. You are not constrained by rigid expectations or linear paths. You can pivot, explore, and synthesize knowledge in a way that feels natural. What society labels as inconsistency is actually flexibility, adaptability, and foresight. There's also a social advantage. Polymaths tend to connect ideas across fields, making them excellent collaborators and communicators. Their wide-ranging interests allow them to relate to people in multiple domains, bridging gaps and creating innovative opportunities. In other words, the traits you once saw as weakness, jumping between interests, losing focus, or abandoning projects, can become the foundation for mastery, influence, and impact. But here's the subtle nuance: the advantage is only realized with self-awareness. Without reflection, polymaths may drift, feeling uninsured or perpetually incomplete. Awareness allows you to harness your curiosity strategically, turning scattered attention into a network of expertise. So, while you may never fit into conventional molds, your mind is wired to excel in complexity, adaptability, and creative problem solving. The very traits that frustrate you are the ones that can set you apart, giving you a mental edge that single-path thinkers may never experience. Understanding your polymathic wiring is the first step. The next step is subtle application. The goal isn't forcing yourself into rigid routines or beating yourself up for unfinished projects. Instead, it's about using awareness to guide your energy strategically. Observe your patterns. Notice which interests give you energy and which drain it. Don't judge yourself for shifting focus. Instead, see each move as a data point. Each abandoned project reveals your cognitive preferences, emotional triggers, and creative wiring. It's also helpful to create small frameworks that respect your nature. For example, rather than committing to finishing a single project, set boundaries for exploration. Allocate time to deep dive into one topic, then allow yourself permission to pivot to another interest. This preserves novelty without losing continuity entirely. Psychologically, this approach reduces guilt and self-criticism. Over time, you'll notice that even unfinished projects contribute to your cognitive growth. The knowledge, skills, and patterns you accumulate across fields compound into insights that few single-path thinkers ever develop. Emotionally, this reframing is liberating. You stop seeing yourself as scattered or unreliable and start recognizing a unique advantage: a mind capable of synthesizing across domains. You're learning, connecting, and growing in ways that don't always fit conventional metrics. But the depth of integration you achieve is extraordinary. Remember, the polymath advantage isn't about sticking to one thing. It's about learning how to harness your curiosity intelligently. Awareness becomes your anchor, allowing you to navigate projects, interests, and ideas without guilt, while still building expertise and insight across multiple domains. By now, you should see the bigger picture. Your difficulty in sticking to one thing is not a flaw. It's a sign of a mind built for exploration, innovation, and connection. The polymath advantage allows you to approach life differently, seeing patterns, solutions, and relationships that others miss. Emotionally, this realization transforms frustration into validation. You begin to understand that every unfinished project, every shift of focus, is part of a larger cognitive process. These movements are not mistakes, they are the rhythm of a mind wired for depth across breadth. This awareness alone changes how you relate to yourself and your work. You stop measuring your worth by conventional completion metrics. Instead, you see value in the network of knowledge you are building, the insights you are generating, and the connections only your mind can make. The challenge is subtle: balance freedom with strategic application. Use your awareness to guide energy, but never try to suppress curiosity. Each new interest, each exploration is a thread in the complex tapestry of your polymathic mind. When you honor this wiring, you unlock potential few ever realize: creativity, adaptability, insight, and cognitive agility. Finally, remember this: your mind's restlessness is not a weakness. It is a messenger pointing you toward unique capabilities, extraordinary problem solving, and innovative thinking. Once you embrace this, the very thing that felt like chaos becomes your greatest strength. You can't stick to everything, and that's exactly the point. You're designed to explore, connect, and synthesize. And the awareness of your polymath advantage allows you to do it consciously, intentionally, and powerfully.